So, I'm gonna start this section with a little ditty about Erica and Lanny, two Canadian kids doing the best they can.
Hell is that?
Lanny's gonna be a photography star.
That is
No?
not
Okay,
how we're
no.
starting.
Start over.
Okay. No.
Okay, not starting with a little ditty. Okay, gonna start this section with a little story. Okay, so this is a story about something that happened to Erica and me. I guess about
11? No.
10 years ago now.
No. Like 15 years ago.
2002.
Oh my God.
18 years ago.
18 years ago.
So a little story about something that happened to Eric and I when we were climbing a mountain in Patagonia called Mont Tronador. And so we were camped on the glacier. We woke up in the morning, got out of our tent, broke camp, put the crampons on, and we started traversing out across the ice field. And it's bluebird sky day. The snow is sparkling. As far as we can see, it's just white ice and snow. And we look off across the horizon and we see these two birds. And they really stood out because the only things up there were me and Erica, white snow, blue sky, and these two birds flying side by side in perfect flight with their wings outstretched. And as they started to fly towards us, straight towards us, we started to realize how big these two birds really were. Turns out they're two giant condors, largest birds of prey on Earth, 10-foot wingspan, like dinosaurs coming out of the sky. And condors are scavengers. So keep in mind at that moment, there were only 4 living, moving things up there, and 2 of them have 10-foot wingspan. And they soared straight towards us, and what, like
3 or 4 feet.
3 or 4 feet, just basically cruised right overhead. And they were totally checking us out too, because we saw them kink their necks to the side. And the sound, because it's completely silent up there.
Yeah, there was no wind. Still.
Just the sound of their wings just cutting through the air. And then we saw their eyes, like literally looking straight into our soul. Our hair stood on end, our minds went, and Two Man Studios was born.
Not at that exact moment.
Well,
But,
kind of.
you know, those are the kind of experiences that Lanny and I live for. Like, those are the kind of things that really shape the world, shape the way that we see the world, and as a result, the way that we photograph the world. So that was in 2002, which we now realize is 18 years ago, and that was about 4 years into our relationship. So do the math. We've been together for a long time, almost half our lives now. So
More than half our lives.
More than half. Yeah. We just passed the halfway mark last birthday, right? So we do everything together. We shoot together, we teach together, we raise kids together, we live together, obviously. We travel together. Sometimes we sleep together. And so you can imagine we often fight together. And shit gets real all the time. And you guys are probably going to bear witness to that throughout this course.
Yeah. All of this really started for us in the mountains. Climbing, skiing, paddling. Our passion was, exploring wild places. And that's pretty much where we fell in love with each other, but also with photography. And, we've always lived for adventure. And photography sort of became, it was our way of sharing these experiences that we were having, in all these incredible places, incredible experiences. That was sort of our device for sharing those experiences with our friends and our family back home, right? We had something to bring back and share the story.
Except it was slides.
This is like old school style. This is Kodak, slide projectors. We'd actually
have a dissolve unit.
Yeah,
so that
dissolve
they dissolve
unit.
in and out.
And create these slideshows. Just good old fashioned storytelling.
We never really sought out to become photographers at all. And so, for any of you that suffer from imposter syndrome, which is probably everybody out there, we are right there with you. I still have a hard time calling myself a photographer, to be honest with you. And I still don't know what I want to be when I grow up. And that's okay. We met in 1998 at the National Track and Field Championships, where Lanny was running the 1500 with wild, crazy, curly ringlets flowing in the wind. And I was immediately attracted to him.
But we were both, I mean, your school was hosting, but both of us were
Track and field
at the
athletes.
time into track and field and cross country. And that was kind of 2 decades of my life actually trying, the sole focus of my life was trying to make it to the Olympics, which I never did.
Nope.
But I got to race for Canada at the World Championships.
And it determined our lifestyle, right? We were into running and trail running and mountaineering. So Lanny pursued mountain guiding, and I pursued a career in outdoor education.
And you're going to see later on that a lot of our most important lessons that we've learned that we apply to wedding photography were actually born in athletics and mountaineering.
So our adventure photography started getting us some recognition, and it was just enough recognition to plant a seed that maybe we can do something with this. So we started our first company in 2006, I think, and it was called Two Man Tent Photography.
Right.
Yeah.
And then a couple years later, around 2008, a friend asked us to photograph her wedding. And so we said, she basically just recognized that, oh, Lanny and Erica know what they're doing with their camera, or look like they think they know what they're doing with their camera. So would you want to photograph our wedding? So we said, sure, we'll give it a shot. Yeah. We were so out of our element at that. It was, I remember
we
at the
should
end,
actually probably refund them. I mean, they only paid $800,
they got what they
but
paid
we
for.
should still refund them.
But I remember the bride at the end of the wedding, she said, so what do you guys think? Like, are you guys going to do some more of this? You're going to like do more wedding photography? And we were like,
Hell
fuck
no.
We were
Never
so out of our
again.
element. It was
We'd rather be strapped to the side of a cliff
Exactly.
in -20 than photograph a wedding. Yeah. That's how desperate it was. But we were out of our element for different reasons. I mean, we were nice, we were warm and we were inside, but it was just all this unpredictableness, all this fast-paced, changing lighting conditions, just so much out of our control that we were used to having within our control. So then another friend asked us to shoot their wedding, and people kept on asking us to shoot their weddings. And I remember this exact moment, turning to Lanny and saying, there's a price. If people will pay us enough, if we can make a shit ton of money photographing weddings, let's start accepting these, so that we're so expensive that most people aren't going to hire us. But if they do hire us, hey,
we'll do it. Hey.
We're rolling in the cash. So we set our prices, get this, we set our prices at $2,000, 2,000 Canadian dollars, which is like, I don't know, 1,200 American or something. And because we would never, ever have paid that much for photography, ever in our entire lives. And so we thought nobody in their right mind would spend $2,000 for a wedding photographer. Unbeknownst to us, we were the cheapest, most affordable wedding photographers out there. And so people started booking us left, right, and center. And before we knew it, we had like 27 weddings in the book.
I remember at one point, it was probably around 2011.
And we didn't make any money, obviously, but
Right.
we didn't know anything back then.
Yeah, and so, I think it was around 2011. At some point, we just sort of looked at each other and it was like,
Oh, we're wedding photographers now.
Looks like we're wedding photographers now. Let's roll with this.
Yeah, and most of the things that we hated about wedding photography, especially with that first wedding photography experience, the pressure and the fast pace and the slow pace and the chaos and the uncertainty and all that struggle, is actually what we thrive off now. Those challenges were a threat to us.
Yeah.
I mean, they're still a threat to us.
Oh,
They
yeah.
still exist every single wedding, but we realize that's where all the magic is as well.
And the opportunities.
And the opportunities, yeah.
So we kind of, I guess we've grown to thrive off of that.
Yeah, there's still parts of every wedding that we don't love.
Right. But we're getting ahead of ourselves.
We're gonna get into this. We're gonna get into this.
So at that time, Eric and I are still total ski bums, climbing dirt bags. And then our world got turned upside down when these guys came along and changed everything.
Yeah, pretty much. We stopped skiing, stopped climbing, stopped paddling, stopped mountaineering. Lanny switched careers from mountain guiding to firefighting. And we decided, I don't know what we were thinking, but we decided this is a great time when we've got 2 kids under the age of 3 to start a new business at like 2 in the morning
build
while
our
I'm breastfeeding
business, right?
Timmy.
Yeah.
Or to build our business, yeah.
Meanwhile, I'm working full-time in Calgary.
You're working
firefighting.
full-time in Calgary. We got 2 kids under the age of 3. Life is insane. I call them the lost years. But we started discovering some other photographers on the scene that gave us a little bit of a different definition of photography
Sort
that
of
we weren't
recalibrated, it totally recalibrated
Yeah.
our thinking and the way we think about wedding photography.
Yeah. So Davina and Danielle and Ben and Aaron Chrisman in DQ Studios and
Davina and Daniel.
what did I say?
Danielle.
It's French Canadian. I'm giving
Okay,
it the
Danielle.
French
Davina and
Canadian.
Daniel.
Okay.
But those three for sure.
Yeah.
Christmas Studios, DQ Studios, Davina and Daniel.
Yeah.
Totally, their work blew our mind. And it was like, it was different, it was daring, it was sexy, it was just,
It was real.
it was real,
Yeah.
it was really, really good. It was everything we love about photography without any of the shittiness of wedding photography. And so it lit a fire up under our ass to want to take wedding photography to the highest levels we could.
And our work got better.
Yeah.
It got better pretty quickly, and the bookings came in from further and further abroad. And this was all sort of organic. Our rates started to rise, and we're going to tell you guys later in the course how our strategy behind that. And we took on too much,
Yeah.
especially with Lanny working full time as a firefighter and 2 kids. I think in 2012 we had upwards-
27.
Was it 27?
That was our peak
And you know, 27 might not sound a lot
at this point.
at this point, but when you see the way we photograph weddings and the way we edit weddings and the heart and soul that we pour into every single wedding, it was a completely unsustainable number for us.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was a rough year.
Yeah, then we started capping ourselves. We realized, so we started capping ourselves at 15 weddings per year, which helped a lot. And now we find 10 to 12 is our sweet spot.
10.
10.
12's too much.
Yeah.
10's too much. So a lot has changed since those
Yeah.
early years, you know, a lot. And we're going to take you through that whole progression. At the beginning, we were very good at making gimmicky shots that got a lot of attention, eye candy, but they were lifeless,
and
soulless.
that's what was motivating us. That's sort of like what we were getting excited about.
Was the cameras,
Yeah.
and not the
Well,
weddings. It was like, how trippy can we make this? How many times can we reflect it? How dramatic can we make the light? And honestly, and that led to a lot of recognition for us, but it was empty. It was so empty, and it was soulless, and
Well, and it got old. It got old fast.
it got old, and we burnt out.
Yeah.
We burnt out. I remember Ben saying to you one time,
Ben Christmas.
Ben Chrisman saying, "Epic will burn you out," and
Epic burnt us out.
Epic totally burnt
But-
us out, and it was meaningless. It felt meaningless.
Right. And I mean, epic's just a word. It's an overused word. But I would say now we still strive for epic imagery, but what that means to us has totally changed
Totally
and grown
changed.
into something entirely different, which we're going to really get into.
Yeah.
Um,
And so we're in this constant quest now to find meaning in our work, meaning in our work as wedding photographers, which is a challenge at times. How are you doing that? How do you find meaning in your work?
well, I'd say that, I mean, because a common question we get is, what are your
Inspiration.
inspirator, your creative influences, and people are often searching for that or expecting the so and so photographer and such photography. But honestly, whereas early on that stuff really inspired us, but today it's really, I don't really look to wedding photography for inspiration. More so other genres of photography, but even more than that, just everything else in our life, from documentaries that we watch. Music is always a huge inspiration for me. And then just time outside, time in nature, time with our kids, exercising. And actually, I would say this year, I've starting to discover the superpower of meditation, which is something I've been curious about for a long time. But I've got one of the apps now, so I'm doing 10 minutes a day. And it's actually kind of really helping to clear the noise.
Really? I haven't noticed much difference in you since you started meditating.
Oh, you can't see inside my mind. Really?
No.
Oh.
Anyways,
Yeah.
I'm going to talk a little bit about this because this is one of my favorite subjects, is the whole idea of inspiration and creativity. And I just eat up all these books about creativity and where inspiration comes from. And I actually think there's an overabundance of inspiration out there these days, like a complete overabundance of it, especially visual inspiration and for photographers with Instagram and Facebook. And I feel like whenever we go looking for inspiration in a specific spot, whether it's through photographers, other photographers, or through artists or for music, when we're looking for inspiration, it puts us in this mindset where we're result focused instead of process focused. So like when we go on Instagram and we look at other photographers' works, all we're seeing is the result. That's all we're looking at. We're not seeing the process that took place to get the result. And as artists and photographers, the end result is not our concern at all. I mean, we think it's our concern, but our concern needs to be about the process that it takes to get to that result. And so I feel like whenever we go and we're inundated with this wisdom and inspiration, it puts us result focused instead of process focused.
Right.
So one of the ways I've really tried to hone my own inspiration is to stay off of social media and to stay off of looking at people's results. And I read somewhere in some book, I wish I could remember, but the one line that's really stuck with me was create before you consume. And we're in the habit, especially as photographers and especially in this day of age, where we wake up in the morning and we consume. Like, you can't get away from it, right? You just pick up your phone and you're in consumption mode. Like, I mean, you can't even have a bag of tea anymore without an inspirational quote on the tea bag. So I'm in this habit now of every morning I wake up and I create something. And I don't mean to create something physical. I just mean get myself in a creative mindset. So whether that's just watching the way my kids sleep or watching the way the water drips down the shower door or noticing the way the light filters in or the shadows on the wall, or maybe it's as simple as cutting my toast in a different shape, but getting myself in the habit of creating every morning before I'm consuming. And that's probably made a bigger impact on my work than trying to find inspiration from outside sources.
Nailed it. Just cut my section out. That was awesome. So we're about to start getting into the
real
actual meat of this.
Less of the fluff
course, okay?
and more of the meat.
Yeah.
Yes. So before we do that, there are two really important things that you need to know about Lanny and I. Okay? Two really, really important things. Okay? The first is that we suck. Okay? Just take a look at some of these photos. We take spectacularly bad photos at every single wedding we shoot.
Culling our work is like sifting for gold through a sea of shit.
Okay, this photo here, this is what happens when you leave Lanny alone during family formals. Okay, and this is not an outtake. This is the best.
We delivered this.
No, I didn't deliver it.
Oh.
But
you showed it to them.
I did show it to them because our clients become friends, and I showed them. I'm like, sorry, I can't deliver this family photo because this is what Lanny took. I'm not sure what you told them to do with their hands.
Well, that thing that you do where they
so bad.
Cuddle up and, anyways, guys, clearly I struggle with posing.
Yes. Okay, so this, sharing our wisdom, our so-called wisdom with you guys, all these photographers around the world, is super intimidating for us because in our minds, we suck. We do. And we feel that a lot of the times. A lot of the time. Our wedding days are a complete emotional roller coaster ride. 1 minute, I'm giving myself a mental high five and I'm totally killing it. And I'm like, yes, I'm rocking this off-camera flash. And then the next minute, I'm down in the dumps and I'm like the world's worst photographer. And I'm thinking we're going to have to refund the bride and groom some money.
Yeah.
So.
But the key message there is that it's okay to suck, or it's okay to feel like you suck, right? Remember, we're comparing our everyday behind the scenes to everybody else's highlight reel. And you're gonna see behind the scenes, Erica and I, we are not masterful technicians, okay? We are not gifted with talent, and we are not a dream team.
Which brings us to the second very important thing you need to know about us, which you probably already know, is that we're a highly, highly dysfunctional team. Very dysfunctional. So we're going to demonstrate that now. We're going to perform a little skit of sorts.
Yeah, we like to call this couples counseling for wedding photographers. And all of these scenes that we're going to act out for you are actual reenactments from actual moments at actual weddings. So this is a day in the life of Erica and Lanny shooting a wedding together.
Yeah.
Which lenses do you want to take with you?
Well,
morning?
I'll take the 35 and I'll take the 50, the 85.
All right.
Can I try the 24 today? I haven't tried that one yet. I'd like to play around with it. Awesome. Okay. What would you like?
Well, I guess I'll make do with the 24 to 70 and the 70 to 200.
Awesome. Is that okay?
Yeah, I guess
Okay.
so. We'll give it a go.
Okay. Good
Okay.
luck. Have fun.
Go get him.
Bye.
Bride prep, groom prep. How'd it go this morning?
I got shit. Like, we are definitely gonna have to refund them soon.
Seriously?
Well, she was getting ready in the basement laundry room
Yeah?
with like 17 bridesmaids, and I just
Couldn't have been that bad.
It was bad. It was bad. Real bad. How'd it go for you?
Could have used at least one prime. I hope you got that.
What?
The first kiss.
Oh, I was in the best spot.
I was in
had
the
them
best
lined
spot.
up.
I had
in
them all
between
lined up. I
these
didn't
two
want to miss the
trees,
shot like last time, and I totally missed it.
Why can't you just trust I can get the shot too? I'm half of this photography team, you know.
I hope
It's
so.
not just the
I hope
lighting
so.
manager. You know, screw you. Okay, everybody, look up here. No, Grandma, 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 over here. No, not that camera, over here. Yeah.
All right, everybody, just bring it in. Perfect. I need the flash over there.
Okay, first of all, A, how am I supposed to know that?
What do you think I was trying to communicate to you?
That is not communicating. And second,
Okay.
get your own flash.
I'm
not
missing
your
moments.
I'm not your assistant.
We are missing
Get your-
moments right now. So give me the flash. Let's do our job.
Get your own goddamn flash. I'm not your assistant. I think we should think about different profession. This is just way too much. It shouldn't feel like this happened. It's just...
Where are the lens caps?
I don't know. Fuck it.
Let's get out of here.
Lanny Man Photography, right?
Oh, hey.
Amazing work.
Oh,
Amazing.
Thanks, man. Thank
You do such a good job. And this is your assistant, right?
No, this is
Here,
Erica.
hold this. Sorry.
What do we do?
Sorry, I tripped. It's such a pleasure.
Oh,
You're the
thank you.
best photographer in
Thanks,
the
man.
world.
Oh, well, actually, she's better than me. We're a team, but thank you.
Well, I'll definitely hire you again, or
Okay,
sometime.
cool. All right,
Sometime.
that'll be awesome. Thanks, man.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right.
Out of here.
Now that we've got those two very important things out of the way, we're ready to get into the real meat of this course. So, go grab a glass of wine, a beer, maybe it's just a nice cup of tea, or maybe it's even a bowl of popcorn. This is where we're going to describe our whole approach to wedding photography. We're going to lay down the foundation for everything that's coming after. We're going to dive into our psyche, which isn't an easy task.
Yeah, and you're going to want to get comfortable for this next section that's coming, which is actually, it's been broken down into several smaller videos, but they essentially fit together as one piece that sets the bedrock for everything. So you're going to want to give yourself the time and the space to sit back, relax, and take these in sequentially, rather than spreading them out over a week or so, because they kind of fit together.
Yeah. And make sure you have your notebook, okay? And we'll see you there for Psyche, Magic, and the Art of Getting Lucky.